for coming on behalf of the King Center. My name is Cameron Friend, and I am the social media and content manager for the King Center. So I just want to say thank you all for making time to be here today for this wonderful day, this important day, this day that we remember and we celebrate the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. As we today are here for the MLK 55 assassination ceremony wreath-laying. And today is going to be a day where we have an opportunity to remember the life and work, to remember the nonviolence and the teachings of Dr. King. And as he inspired us to build the beloved community in our own right, and the communities right where we are, starting here in Atlanta, Georgia, starting around the nation and around the world. And this is a day for all of us to be able to lean into how we can better serve one another, how we can better build the beloved community right where we are. And this is just truly an honor to be able to participate in this event. So thank you all. This is going to be a wonderful ceremony. First, we will have directly from the King Center, Miss Barbara Harrison. After that, we will have a musical selection, and we will have tributes as well throughout the program. And first, I would like to welcome Miss Barbara Harrison to do our welcome.
Good afternoon. Like Cameron said, my name is Barbara Harrison. I'm Senior Director of External Affairs and Strategic Partnerships. And I just want to welcome you to be with us today. We thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And not just in today, but beyond today, in the work that we do in terms of our mission, empowering people to create a just, humane, equitable, and peaceful world. We want to invite you into that space and that place as you participate with us today in this program and following the program that will be with the National Park Service. If you have time, we invite you to stay with us. Some of you may have participated earlier in our virtual program with Dr. Bernice King. If not, please visit our website, thekingcenter.org, so that you can participate in the full program. And again, I would like to say, join us in our work. We appreciate your support, your presence, and we want you to help us as we continue the work that Dr. King talked about, admonished in his last speech, and also left inspirational words for us to help build this beloved community. Thank you.
And for our first musical selection today, we have Let There Be Peace, performed by Ricky Dillard and New G.
Testing. Y'all can give us a hand. We're grateful to be here. We're honored for this privilege to be with you on this 55th celebration in the remembrance of Dr. King and Madam King. And we have a song we're going to do. It's called Released. Is there anybody know the blessings that you're in need of, that God has already released them in the earth for you? The song says, Release. You can turn it up. You can turn it up. Come on, Brother Stephen.
There's a blessing in the room today. Are you ready? Get ready. It's already been released. Come on, somebody just lift your hands and say, are you ready? Get ready. Get ready. It's already been. Come on and help me say, there's a healing in the room today. Are you ready? Get ready. It's already been released. God Are you ready? Get ready. It's already been. There's a breakthrough in the room today. Are you ready? Get ready. It's already been released. God, we believe you, Lord. Come on, just wave your hands in the air. Just say, are you ready? Get ready. It's already been. Come on, say, cause in His presence there is so much joy. Every desire, if you only believe, that by His Spirit there is so much peace. Thanks be unto God who gives. It's been released. Come on, somebody lift your hands right there if you believe that God is going to release something in the atmosphere that's going to release joy into your spirit. Hallelujah. Yeah. There's a blessing in the room today. Are you ready? Get ready. It's already been released. Hallelujah, Jesus. Are you ready to get ready? It's already been. There's a healing in the room today. Are you ready? I tell you, you better get ready. It's already been released. Yes, it is. Are you ready? Get ready. It's already been. There's a breakthrough in the room today. Are you ready? Get ready. It's already been released. Come on, somebody. Get ready, get ready. Get ready. It's already been. Come on, say, cause in His presence there is so much joy. Every desire. If you only believe that by His Spirit there is so much joy. Yeah. He gives. Cause in His presence there is so much joy to every desire. If you only believe, see by His Spirit there is peace. I said thanks be to God. Woo! It is being released. The heavens are open. His Spirit is flowing. Say whatever you need. Whatever you need. The heavens are open. His Spirit is flowing. It's whatever you need. Whatever you need. Help me say. And His Spirit is flowing. And it's whatever you need. And it's whatever you need. The heavens are open. And His Spirit is flowing. Say it's whatever you need. Say the heavens are open. And He's pouring out a blessing that you won't have room to receive. Whatever you need. You've been praying for a long time. And He's responding. blessing in this room today. Are you ready? Are you ready? It's already been released. Hallelujah. Come on, if you're looking for God to release something in your life, come on and shout hallelujah.
That was absolutely incredible. Again, thank you so much to Ricky Dillard and New G. Up next, we will have a tribute from Micah Taylor, Westside Atlanta Charter School.
Good afternoon. My name is Micah Emmanuel Taylor. It is an honor and privilege for me to stand here before you today to pay tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., an incredible man that committed his life to making a difference in the lives of all people, a leader who displayed courage and determination in the face of oppression and violence, a change agent who refused to allow being arrested, bombings, or even death threats to stop his mission. It was 55 years ago today, this Nobel Peace Prize winning icon, a prophet, a visionary, a bold man of faith left this earth as a result of being murdered. While fighting back for 1,300 black sanitation workers in Memphis, Tennessee. We all know the story and still feel the sting and grief of this incomprehensible loss. I've come today not to dwell on his death, but to stand on the hope and promise that Dr. King's life and legacy gives to me. I've come to commemorate how this little black boy from Auburn Avenue dared to rise up against racism, discrimination, hatred, and injustice, so that I, a 14-year-old black boy from Southwest Atlanta, can not only dream, but soar. As I reflect on the significance of this day, I am reminded by a powerful quote from Dr. King, which says, "No one really knows why they are alive until they know what they would die for." I ask you today, what did Dr. King live for? What did Dr. King die for? I believe that Dr. King lived and died so that I could use a nonviolent strategies, education, determination, perseverance, faith, and love as a way to fight for change. I believe that Dr. King lived and died so that I would be inspired to never give up, no matter how tough the road may be, to never doubt myself, and to hold fast my hope and dreams. I believe that Dr. King lived and died so that my parents can give me and my brothers experiences that my ancestors could only dream of. I believe that Dr. King lived and died so that my great-grandmother could help get the right to vote after having stood in the rain all day on the steps of the Georgia Capitol waiting for the chance to register. I believe that Dr. King lived and died to show us that standing up for what is right requires action. His life proved that we cannot simply talk to our beliefs or desires and expect change to just happen. We must do the work. I believe that Dr. King lived and died to serve as a crucial reminder for us not to get comfortable. I realize I'm standing here on the shoulders of so many people that worked tirelessly on my behalf, that sacrificed so much and paid the ultimate price. Dr. King's generation did their part. Now it's time to do ours. Dr. King finished his course, but the work is unfinished. There is still work to do. There is so much at stake. Future generations are depending on us. I believe that Dr. King lived and died to serve as an example of sacrificial love. In a sermon delivered at Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in 1957, Dr. King proclaimed, "Yes, it is love that we will save our world. and our civilization. Love even for our enemies. He goes on to say, we have a moral responsibility to discover the meaning of these words and to discover how we can live out this command. In order for us to start this process, we must look within ourselves and make the necessary changes. I believe that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. lived and died so that 55 years later, in the midst of political unrest, gun violence, political brutality, voter suppression, and a flawed educational system and disparities in healthcare, we will remember not to lose hope, to not quit although we may get tired. In conclusion, I am motivated more than ever to keep growing, to keep learning, to keep loving, and to keep pressing on. The foundation has been laid. The path has been made straight. Thank you, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., for your love, your example, your sacrifice, your leadership, and your guidance. It is my prayer that we never forget where we've come from and that we never grow weary in well-doing. We shall reap a harvest if we faint not. So let us fight on, fight on, fight on.
Wow. That was great. That was excellent. Again, that was Micah Taylor, West Side Atlanta Charter School. And up next, our next tribute will be from Congresswoman Nakima Williams.
Good afternoon, everyone. To the King family, everyone gathered here today, y'all, I am honored to join you to reflect on the life, the legacy, and the humanity of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. First, I have to thank Dr. Bernice King and the entire King Center for sharing this invitation because I'm a transplant to Atlanta. And I am that person that Dr. King dreamed of and bringing together communities while he was fighting over in Alabama. He made a pathway for me to get here to Atlanta, Georgia. So on 404 Day, it is very fitting to sit here as your Congresswoman and to pay tribute to just the opportunities that have been given to me in my life. On this day, y'all, 55 years ago, our country and quite honestly the world experienced a deep and painful shockwave. The most prominent leader in the struggle for civil rights, a man who built a movement on the principles of equality, nonviolence, and love for all people, was taken away from us all too soon. And though violence in the civil rights movement was not new, the assassination of Dr. King showed us the depths of the hatred. The movement broadly was left in mourning the loss of a leader while grappling with continued anger over the evils of racism. But first, y'all, Dr. King was a father, a husband, a sibling, and a friend. In the midst of an outpouring of public grief, the King family navigated a personal journey at the intersections of loss and carrying forth the legacy that would change the course of our country for the better. Dr. King is a son of Atlanta who represents the very best of Atlanta. In my own journey as a public servant, I'm inspired daily by Dr. King's commitment to lead from a place of love, even today when we face the face of relentless hate. We've heard his words, and y'all, I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. Or darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Y'all, it is those words that should inspire us all in this day and time. And I'm reminded of the charge that Dr. Bernice King gave us during this year's beloved community table conversation, commemorative service. She encouraged us to move beyond the quotable king to the livable king. Y'all, that's why we have to continue to commemorate this day, because there are a lot of people who love Dr. King on big holidays, Dr. King, but we have to move beyond that convenient and livable king so that we can get to a place where we're truly living out Dr. King's dream, and why we're sitting here 55 years later still commemorating this day. Thank you so much for all being co-conspirators for justice in this work to continue to live the legacy of Dr. King.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman. Up next, we will have a musical selection, The Greatness of You, performed by Latrice Pace.
Dr. King once said when speaking about the strength to love, every time I look at the cross, I am reminded of the greatness of God and the redemptive power of Jesus Christ. I am reminded of the beauty of sacrificial love and the majesty of unswerving devotion to truth. Today I want to sing about that love. I want to sing of your love. I want to sing of your mercy. I want to tell the whole world of the greatness of you. So I'll sing of your love, oh Lord, and I'll sing of your mercy. And I tell the whole of the greatness of you. Jesus, we lift up your name. Jesus, we lift up your name. Oh, Jesus, we lift your name. Jesus, we lift up your name. Psalm 145 said, I will lift up the name of my God, my King, because his greatness, there are no boundaries to it. He gives us mercies every morning. He's an awesome and majestic God. He's mighty and he is worthy of all of our praise. From now into eternity, I will sing of your love. Every day of my life, I want to sing of your mercy. Oh, I want to tell the whole. I'll tell the whole of the greatness of you. So I'll sing of your love every day, as long as there's breath in my body. I'll sing of your mercy, yeah, and I'll tell the whole world. I'll tell the world of the greatness of you. Jesus, we lift up your name. Oh God, we lift your name. Your name is great. It speaks peace to the nations. Your name is powerful. His name is our refuge and strength. So we lift up your name. Oh God, we lift your name. Your name is a strong tower. Oh, it heals the brokenhearted. Yes, it does. Hey, Lord, we come to lift you up. We give you praise and lift you up. In everything we lift you up. Oh, your name is higher than the heavens. It's greater than the nations. We lift up the name. We lift up the name of Jesus. It's higher than the heavens. It's greater than the nations. The name of your love. Yes, I will, and I'll sing of your mercy. And I'll tell the whole of the greatness of you.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much. Again, that was The Greatness of You, performed by Latrice Pace. Up next, we have our Students Tribute, led by Creative Director Mrs. Connie F. Smith Lindsay.
Good afternoon. My name is Anthony Pleites Rivas, and I am a senior at Central Gwinnett High School. I will be attending Princeton University after high school graduation. As we gather on the 55th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and as we stand here at the King Center, I am honored to greet you on behalf of my community. The theme this year is It Starts With Me, cultivating a beloved community mindset to transform unjust systems. I will focus on how education should be a tool to prepare us to live and to build the beloved community. Education can be defined as an enlightening experience. But what good is that enlightenment when it is only provided to those who make above a certain measure of wealth? The education system today falters. It stunts the knowledge of our youth and keeps alive the injustice of segregation, reinforcing systems that keep minority groups from success. But more than that, it is the way the system ignores the need for more resources for our students. Some students are unable to join clubs because they may not have any. Some students can't go to after-school tutoring because of teacher shortages. No resources are allocated for these issues. Coming from a school that has a large Hispanic population, I have seen how the system shuts out students who struggle to speak English, the most common language of America. They struggle to complete their assignments, to get good grades, and to pass their classes, all because there are not enough resources for programs such as ESOL, English to speakers of other languages. Education should not be divided. I am a student. And as Dr. King stood up for the sanitation workers and the crowd in Memphis, Tennessee on April 3rd, 1968, I am standing up for the equity in education. I believe Dr. King's words are encouraging us not to give up the fight to build equity in education for everyone, for Hispanic students and generations to come. In fact, I hope to grow from this injustice, to make it so that our youth can someday lead and make this world a better place by building the beloved community. Let us rise together to transform unjust systems and to create equitable ways for everyone. Thank you.
Hello. I am Chloe Greene, a rising senior at Paideia School and a Girl Scout who's trying to make a change in the world. I've written a poem inspired by the words written here on the wall at the King Center and about the beloved community. The beloved community is a goal that can be accomplished through courage, determination, education, and commitment. It starts with me. I have to speak loud so those in the back can hear me. Can you hear me? Because I want to use my words to hopefully bring a ripple of change, like one stray ink blot on a page. I hope to stain your mind. We cannot get rid of injustice alone, so we must create our beloved community, a safe haven, our home. But before that, we must learn our history. Only when we touch the books and finally see with our eyes, we see the history that has passed by. At this stage, it is no longer black and white. It is distinguishing what is right. No more censoring laws that restrict what we can learn in schools. The children are our future. It's a phrase I've heard so many times, but how can we learn if we're not being taught? How can we learn to be open if we're separated by ignorance and prejudice? Without knowledge, we cannot understand. If we don't understand, then we cannot empathize. Just know, knowledge is what would make our beloved community a reality. Even though land and language may separate us, when we understand each other, the world is a better place. Nonviolence is the heart to create our beloved community. Principle 3 states, nonviolence seeks to defeat injustice, not people. We must eliminate the evils that separate us, poverty, racism, and war. We must learn to create our beloved community together. Thank you.
Grace and peace. I am Sankey Singleton, and I am a second-year student at Morris Brown College. I'm the former president of the NAACP DeKalb chapter in DeKalb County. The beloved community is a society where everyone can experience justice, equality, and love. According to Dr. Martin Luther King, the beloved community is a world in which poverty, racism, and violence are replaced by economic opportunity. Building communities where we uplift each other and no one is left behind, and using nonviolence and love for reconciliation. As beautiful and inspirational as the beloved community sounds, the unfortunate reality is justice has not rolled down like a mighty stream for all of God's children. Despite laws and other actions, we find ourselves today with marginalized communities still facing discrimination and injustices. Unjust systems are blocking some people from access to economic justice, which will enable Gen Z to gain access to jobs and resources so we can better ourselves in our communities. The one system that is a major concern for me and should be for our leaders is the alarming and excessive rate of incarcerated men of color. Michelle Alexander, author of the new Jim Crow Mass Incarceration in the Age of Colorblindness, states, the nature of criminal justice system has changed. It is no longer primarily concerned with the prevention and the punishment of crime, but rather with the management and the control of the dispossessed. The dispossessed are mostly black and brown men who look like me. And we must do something to address the unjust system so we can create the beloved community. A beloved community exposes the system that causes our brothers and sisters to be arrested for unfairly sentenced. But a beloved community ensures that no one is wrongly convicted, or after serving time, there is equal access to jobs with livable wages and fair income and fair housing. A beloved community allows the global community to hear the bells of liberation for opportunities regardless of our history, our differences. Instead of choruses of no's and sorry, we can all one day say, free at last, free at last. Thank you.
My name is Morgan Miller, and I'm a sophomore at the Westminster Schools. I am also a member of the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church, where Dr. King served as co-pastor from 1960 to 1968. For this occasion of the 55th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King, America's greatest freedom fighter, I will read my poem, We the People. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, have come to the conclusion that between discrimination and persecution, the American dream is no more than an illusion, but it's beautiful nonetheless. The ideal by which equality of opportunity is available to any American, that statement still doesn't apply to the average black man. If you can, I implore you to think about where we are in history. how we wouldn't be here if not for Dr. King's life and legacy, for Mrs. Coretta Scott King's courage and bravery as activist, architect, and founder. It is thanks to them that we now protest safely yet adamantly against police brutality, against injustices that keep us from being free to be Americans. Their ideals are instilled in generations like my grandmother, my mother, and now me. They understand the qualities that divide us can still be used to unite us, and now my generation helps carry the torch. It's a continuous struggle and a battle not yet won. The movement hasn't ended, only evolved, but I will run my part of the race, will do my best to extend grace, will teach my descendants the same, so that when our victory takes place, they can embrace the prize that is freedom and justice for all, that they too will stand here and say, we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, have come to the conclusion that so long as our communities believe in equity and inclusion, the American dream is more than an illusion. Thank you.
Thank you so much to each of you. Wonderful, wonderful job. That was amazing. Thank you so much for your words and the motivation that you have given all of us here today. Up next, we have the CEO of the King Center, the youngest daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Mrs. Coretta Scott King, Reverend Dr. Bernice A. King.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before I say anything, I want to introduce some people because I always feel it is apropos for people to understand and know those who are part of the King family. And so I am honored today to have members of my family that have descended from Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Sr., Daddy King, who was my father's father, and Alberta Williams King, who was my father's mother. I first want to recognize Derek Barber King Sr., who is the son of Alfred Daniel King. Alfred Daniel King unfortunately left this earth 1 year and a few months after my father, in a mysterious circumstance. He was found in his pool, did not drown, did not have water in his lungs. The mystery is still trying to be unraveled. But he is the oldest, not the oldest, because Al was the oldest. He is the son of A.D. King. His mother, who is the widow of A.D. King, Mrs. Naomi Barber King, is here with us today at 91 years of age, and we thank God for her. My aunt, Dr. Christine King Ferris, very much wanted to be here today. She is 95, on her way to 96 years of age. She is the only living member of my father's birth family, and we thank God that she is still with us along with Aunt Naomi. Dr. Christine King Ferris's daughter, Dr. Angela Ferris Watkins, is with us, a professor at Spelman College. And her daughter, the granddaughter of Dr. Christine King Ferris, Ferris Watkins, is here with us today. Angela's brother, Isaac Ferris Sr., who is the oldest of Dr. Christine King Ferris, and Uncle Isaac Newton Ferris, he's here with us today. And then we have one of our cousins, and I don't like saying this, and I know this is not a good word, widow, Laurel Hill, our cousin Toussaint King Hill, Jr. passed suddenly. I won't say suddenly, but to me it was suddenly just a few years ago. She is here with us today. So I want to thank all of them for being with us today. I also want to say we're in good hands. It seems a little turbulent and troubling right now, but I thank God for these young voices that were lifted today. Thank you so much, Micah, and all of you young people who shared your heart and your vision and hope for a world. And I know that you are going to align your life with what you spoke. 55 years ago, and I won't be but a second because this is a very difficult time for me as I get older. I get a little more emotional about today. And if I might be very frank with everyone here today, I shared with some of my team that I'm empty. I've been doing a lot of speaking for the last 42 years of my life. I know that seems that I'm, young, but I just turned 60 7 days ago. And so I'm just going to say just a little bit because I need to. 55 years ago today, around 6:05 p.m. Central Time, 7:05 p.m. Atlanta time, my father's life was cut short by an assassin's bullet. He didn't die. What I mean by that? Many people, when they talk about that day, say Martin Luther King Jr. died. No, his life was cut short by an assassin's bullet that caused a cessation of his breath on this earth. But he didn't die. He transitioned to a higher realm. And the reason I think this world has not come apart is because the spirit of Dr. King has been dispersed and dispensed throughout this universe, just as the spirit of the one that we call in the Christian faith, Jesus the Christ, is dispensed throughout this world. But Jesus is the person that Dr. King was following and in alignment with. And everything that he poured out was to connect us back to Jesus and the mission of Jesus, which was to love in a way that no matter how difficult, challenging, ugly, fierce, mean, oppressive, exploitative people might be, we have the capacity in our love to transform people's minds and their lives and our circumstance. And so Dr. King may not physically be with us here today, but he still lives. He lives in and through this family. He lives in and through this institution and those who work with me here. He lives in and through many of you and those young people that are here today. But yes, we are in very turbulent and troubling times. And so although an assassin's bullet took his life, today, I want to first stand in solidarity with the King Center, with those young people who have dared to leave school, walk out of school, and say, we demand common sense, gun responsibility, and the banning of assault weapons. Now is the time to fulfill that particular legislation. And I want to encourage those who are doing that. Do as they did in Montgomery, Alabama. Don't let it just be one day of walkout. I dare you at some point to stay out of school until change comes. Because when young people stay out of school, regardless of the consequence, because they pay consequences in Montgomery, Alabama. Some lost jobs, some's homes were risked, some lost lives, but they dared to sacrifice so that the change would come. And if we're going to change the state of this nation and in this world, we are in a season that requires that kind of sacrifice once again. So I'm challenging those of us who continue to stand up for things that are unjust in our society. We've got to be willing to make the extraordinary sacrifice. For as a young person reminded us, if we haven't found something worth dying for, that means if we haven't found something worth sacrificing, If that means if we haven't found something worth giving up, if we haven't found something worth risking, then why are we fit to really live? Dr. King sacrificed his very life. And so as I come to a close, as we remember this day, I want us to remember that Dr. King was a warrior of nonviolence and peace. And so I want to share these words with you in closing because I think they're so apropos and worth repeating. I spoke them on the west side of town. Now I speak them on the east side of town. My father was a warrior for peace, but we must understand for him, peace was not merely, true peace was not merely the absence of tension. It is the presence of justice. He reminded us that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. This means that injustice anywhere is a threat to peace everywhere. Therefore, the work of peace that he endeavored upon is inextricably bound to the work of justice. You can't carry forth the legacy of Dr. King and not stand for justice, not work for justice, not prioritize justice. That's why we often hear the chants coming out of the streets, no justice, no peace. If we want to see peace in our world, in our nation, in our state, in this city, in the suites, and even in the streets, then we will have to commit to that work of justice.